Are you going to be safer in a world where we throw people into a system that kills hundreds of people a year and spits them out worse than they come in? Does that make you safer? The answer is obviously no.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
256 area code. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Well, it's Dwayne, Jacob. How are you doing? I just wanted to touch base a little bit about the Alabama solution being released.
Yes.
And ask if you saw it.
I have not seen it yet, Dwayne. I've got it on my list, and I want to watch it. But for those of you who don't know, the Alabama Solution is a documentary about the prison system in Alabama on HBO. It has been really well received. I've heard lots of great things about it. If you're in Alabama, you should try to attend a screening of it. If you can, and if you can't do that, then you should watch it, just at your home, because I have heard really good things about it. And Alabama's prison system is just really, really terrible. And just to illustrate for folks who don't understand how bad Alabama's prison systems are, I read a book recently about Alabama's prison systems written by Matthew Vernon, I think is his name, Matthew Wayland Vernon. And he talked about how in the 1980s there was a lot of controversy about Alabama's prisons because, and Dwayne, I'm sure you know the numbers better than I do, but it was something like 30 people were dying in Alabama's prisons every year, and that was enough to create really big concern across the state and across the country, triggering Department of Justice investigations and stuff like that. 30 people a year dying in Alabama's prisons, something like that. Over the last several years, that number has been something like 300 people per year dying in Alabama's prisons. Alabama's prisons have the highest mortality rate of any prison system in the country. It's terrible. I think the people who are in control of Alabama's prison systems, if they are religious people, they need to be concerned about the state of their soul, and they need to repent because it is wicked what we are doing to prisoners in the state of Alabama. I mean, it's very concerning. So yes, Alabama Solution is on HBO. Yep. Check it out if you haven't. Dwayne, what else do you have on that?
Well, I was going to tell you now, the person that was in charge of it, the Commissioner Dunn was over the Department of Corrections at that time. He was much worse than the person that, well, not the 80s, but the time now where here's something that you may not recognize, okay? Federal Judge Myron Thompson did rule cruel and unusual punishment. But there's no speedy relief for that. But I bet you don't know why. Congress passed a law that you have to give the states time to do things. You can't just have an immediate relief. So the judge is forced by federal law, congressional passed law, that you've got to let them build a prison. You've got to give them this much time. You have to. And it's terrible. As far as I'm thinking, it's terrible that you are really, really under cruel and unusual punishment, and this can continue on for 7 years. Yeah. Nothing getting better, person still being hurt. And I want to tell everybody now, the main person, there's about 5 deaths that happen in this documentary. But the main person's injury that you see pictures of is so atrocious that you will not even believe or fathom it, okay? And the guard that's mainly the one accused of doing this, that even, states that they did it, gets promoted by the state of Alabama. So that's, just something to know. And I have been to churches in different places. And remember, I was Stacey George's that ran for governor, and he is the bald person that worked at the worked at Limestone Prison, if you saw the commercials. And he has been to speak at Arkansas to the legislature who do want to do better things there for their prisons. And it looks like there'll be some major networks maybe doing interviews next week. So look out for those, okay?
All
But
right.
everybody does need to see it and call and pray and maybe even call the Department of Corrections, because Commissioner Ham is more of a Christian person with a heart than the person that's actually in the documentary now. Something may be able to be done because he is a better person as far as I'm concerned, as far as what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Do you realize that with the No Kings last week, if you had not spoke to Treadaway, there may not have been a No Kings. Do you get what I'm saying here? He would have had the right to just arrest anybody standing there. Do you remember?
While we're talking about eliminating the needs for permits for carrying a deadly weapon, citizens have to get a permit from their government just to speak. Just to speak. If you want to do an assembly downtown, I've got to get a permit, okay? Coal miners in Brookwood are on strike right now, and they've been on strike for about a year. And basically the whole year, the state, the government, has said you can only have so many people on your picket lines. At first it was 10, then it was 11, then it was 5, then it was 6. Then for about 3 months they banned it altogether, and now they can have 2 people on a picket line. They can only have 2 people on the picket line. So I believe in the First and the Second Amendment. I think that just like we're moving in Alabama to making it easier to carry firearms, to be able to protect ourselves, to fortify our Second Amendment rights, I think we should be moving to make it easier to for people to exercise their constitutional right to speak and assemble. Because I think that there are too many restrictions on speech and assembly in this country. And you said that, I don't know how long you've been in the House. I'm assuming it's a while. I'm assuming you've been there a while, at least 4 years. I heard in your testimony that you said this was your anti-protest bill was you are most proud of sponsoring this legislation of any legislation in your career. And you're moving in the direction of restricting speech more. Just as a factual statement, that's what's happening with your bill. Whether or not we can, and we will talk about whether that's justified or not. But why do you feel that we are too lax, that we have too much freedom to speak and assemble, but we don't have enough freedom to carry guns?
I want the bill to address public safety only. That's protesters, that's police officers, fire, anybody in that area, and property. And so we've got to have this discussion. I'm glad you're having it. I've got a lot of folks saying this suppresses First Amendment. But what if you read the bill, and it only kicks in after the mayor has a curfew violation in play, and those individuals start looting, burning, and assaulting, then this bill kicks in upon conviction. But we do have a holding now. There's the argument about people. Yeah,
let's go kind of one by one if you could, because I think that it would be helpful maybe if you read the bill, because that's not what it does. I'll read the language. I'll read the language and we can talk about it. Riot is defined as, quote, the assemblage of 5 or more persons engaging in conduct which creates, not does, which creates an immediate danger and or results in. See, we've got 2 different things. We've got somebody who define you've got thought policing in here. You're enabling the police to decide who they believe is creating an immediate danger and or results in damage. It's already illegal to set fire to a building. Yes. It's already illegal to set, but let's go on further.
I remember talking to Treadaway about his bill. I don't think we were the only people I don't think that we were the reason that he didn't get his bill through,
well,
but I
kind of do, because I noticed he completely changed his whole attitude when you really got to the nitty-gritty. Yes, he completely did. It did change things, I believe, even in the legislature and the way he was coming at everything. You really made a difference there. And anybody should go back through the archives to see your interview. It's one of the best things that you could possibly watch, letting anybody have it at an interview that deserved it. But
Yeah,
anyway,
well,
that's what I wanted to say. And
I appreciate it. I enjoyed that
Yes.
interview with Treadaway, and mostly it was just me asking questions about, like, okay, well, like, what is the logical conclusion of this bill that you're trying to get passed? Seems bad to me. I don't know. What do you think? But yeah, I appreciate that, Dwayne.
And here's the thing: your forcefulness of really meaning what you were saying was fantastic. But anyway, thanks a whole lot.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Good to hear from you. Yeah, check it out. Alabama Solution, HBO. As I said to him, I, to my great shame, have not seen it yet, but I will see it. But I hear lots of good things about it, and I've read books about Alabama's prisons, and I kind of get the gist, So if you don't get the gist about how bad Alabama's prisons are, you should check it out. And look, right? People talk about. I talk about Alabama's prisons with people, and their empathy is just not there because they say, "Oh well." They're in prison, so they must have done something wrong, so screw them, right? I don't care what the condition, and that's like actually how people feel about some of this, some people in there. And no doubt, there are people in Alabama's prisons who have done heinous things, and it is easy to think that way, right? But for one, just as a fact of the matter, are most of the people who are in Alabama's prisons, like terrible, terrible people who have done unforgivable things? No, actually, the majority of people who are in Alabama's prisons are nonviolent. The offense for which they are in prison was a nonviolent offense. Okay, number one. Number two, even the violent offenses, most of them, the vast majority of them, are not murder. Right? And so they will get out. And so even if you don't care about them as people or the conditions that they're living in, like you think, okay, somebody committed felony assault on somebody else, and they inflicted a lot of pain on somebody, and so you don't care. Like, it doesn't bother you that they are being forced to live in unconstitutionally torturous position. Right? You don't care about that. Well, guess what? If you commit felony assault, you will get out at some point. And that's what everybody wants, right? Nobody wants to live in a world where you hurt somebody, even you hurt somebody and you hurt somebody greatly, and then you spend literally the rest of your life in prison, right? Everybody believes in second chances, even for actually physically violent people, right? We can't just throw people in jail and lock away the key. And so you commit felony assault, you're going to be out in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years. And so then the question is not a question of empathy. Do you feel bad about the conditions in which this person has lived? It's actually a question of your own safety and the world that you want to live in, right? Because when that person gets out, the question is, will they be better than when they came in, right? And in Alabama's prisons, the answer to that is obviously no. Basically, nobody comes out of Alabama's prisons in better shape than they went in. That's why the recidivism rate is so high. That's why there are so many problems with folks who come out of prison, is because the prison system makes them worse. It destroys their mental health. It creates mental health problems in these people. And then they go out and then they reoffend. And it makes your society, the one that you live in, less safe because we take a punitive approach to prison rather than a rehabilitative approach to prison. So even if you can't muster the, like, oh, I feel bad for people, which, if you can't muster that, like, you should do some self-reflection on that. Why can't I feel some level of empathy for people in prison? I mean, if you're a Christian, like, Jesus literally tells you to do that, to care about the prisoner. So if you can't, like, muster that within yourself, you should kind of do some self-reflection. Maybe pray about that a little bit. But that's like your internal deal, right? Like, you got to deal with that yourself. I can't deal with that for you. So even if you can't do that, you got to think rationally about your own safety. Are you going to be safer in a world where
we throw people into a system that kills hundreds of people a year and so therefore is like super deleterious to the health of everybody else, and then spits them out worse than they come in. Does that make you safer? The answer is obviously no, right? If you have two brain cells you can rub together, you know the answer to that is no. So we got to make Alabama's prisons better. We got to make them actually rehabilitative.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.